In this section, I want to also just briefly touch on a culture of innovation in your business environment. So remember when we looked at Maslow's hierarchy, and at the very top we saw self-actualization. So people in the self-actualization stage are innovative, creative, have new ideas, better ways of doing things, faster ways of doing things. And this is the culture that you're trying to breed in your organization. So an innovative organization needs to have, first of all, a supportive culture. So this organization would say to its employees, first of all, we encourage innovation, but we also provide you a safe environment. So we want you to try new things, and often new things don't work the first time, and that's no problem. And you as a business coach would approach that situation by saying to somebody, so they come to you and say, I tried to do something and it didn't work. And you would go, well, jolly good for trying. That's excellent that you tried something new. What did you learn from it? What are some lessons that you learned from it that you can go out and you can try again? And even maybe a few times it still won't work. And each time have learning until it does work. I often think of Edison and the light bulb. 10,000 times he tried. 10,000 times. And at no point did he say to himself, this can't be done. It was just, well, I learned something from that and I'll move on to the next thing. So some of the rules, let's look at these rules. So withhold judgment. So as a business coach, you need to never say to somebody, that is bad, that's no good, you didn't do it properly, you didn't try hard enough. Those negative words, because those are judgment words and they stop the process of innovation. You can think about a little child that maybe you know how children like to come into the lounge and do like a little play for you. And you can imagine now if you said to them, well, that was really bad. I don't think that child wants to come back and do another play for you. The same way your employees, even yourself, we need to be in a supportive environment where there isn't judgment. The second one, encourage wild and exaggerated ideas. So new things cannot come out of a small mind. They cannot. If you think the same way, you're going to get the same results. So it's to say to your staff, let's just get wild and exaggerated ideas. Let's spend some time and just come up with some ridiculous stuff. Out of that ridiculous will come some amazing stuff. I think of a story when there was a car, it's a true story, a car had gone off the road and it had got wedged under the bridge, and there was a person stuck in the car, and the fire people were there and the rescue people and all the people were there, and they were like, how are we going to get this person out of the car because the car is stuck underneath the bridge? And these are adults that have got experience. A little child on the side of the road said, well, why don't you just let the tires down and the car will roll out? And that's what they did, and the car was able to be taken out from under the bridge. And you know that gives me kind of a thinking about how the older we get, the more rigid and small our thinking can become. Maybe we feel foolish to say, well, let's try this or let's try that. The child had no experience in ergonomics or in any of the things that were required there, but just had good thinking, you know. Quantity, not quality. So when we're looking for ideas, we say to people, just give us a whole lot of ideas. Don't worry about how good these ideas are. Later we'll rate them. Right now, let's just get ideas, let's write them down, let's think about new things. There's a company here where I live, and in our country they're very, very high up. They do social media marketing, and in their offices they've got a room that's made of glass, and on the outside there's a big sign and it says the Think Tank. Every Friday afternoon all the staff go into that room and they spend an hour and a half every week in the Think Tank coming up with wild ideas. And the owner of that company, I do quite a bit of work with him, a number of times has said to me, we found something in the Think Tank that is fantastic. And I can tell you that business is doing really well. It's got happy people because they're operating in the self-actualizing stage. They've got a successful business, they're getting good money, they're doing good work. The Think Tank. Then every person, every idea, okay, before we say that, build on ideas of others. So you could see how when one idea comes, you'll go, okay, well, what about that? And it's taken you into a direction of thinking that you can build on ideas. An example of this is recently we were doing some marketing, and the one person said, okay, let's start to put a business card in all the learner packs that go. And then the other person said, well, why don't we make that card magnetic so they can put our business card in their fridge? And that's an example of building on ideas. Then it says there, every person and every idea has equal worth. And this is one of the biggest things about your culture. Every person has equal worth, every idea has equal worth. It doesn't mean you're going to use every idea, but they're building blocks and it's getting the thinking out of there. So these rules are something that you want to put up on your wall in your company and say, these are the rules in our organization, and aren't they lovely rules? Then we're going to just have a little picture here, a graphical picture I want to show you of how this kind of thinking goes. So in the middle we have here a paperclip. So these people are all in the think tank, and the one person says, well, what about if we link them all together? Okay. And then someone builds on that idea. They say, what about if we make necklaces with them? Somebody else says, what about if we make chains with it? Another one here, the ends are pointy. Could we use that? Yeah, what about if we use it as a drawing pin? Then we've got, but you know what, if I stick this thing on the wall, I get a shock, it conducts electricity. What about using it as electrical probes? And I could go on and on and on and on with this. So just briefly, I wanted to introduce this section. As a business coach, you wanted to set the right culture. It's a culture of innovation and self-actualizing that you're wanting to set.